Hello, everybody out there. I am Kurt Roskoff, and I am pleased to be a part of this beginnings here in terms of podcasting. And also, I've been able to talk to Sherry, who's here. You're going to be learning about her and how she founded Let's Be Trees to revolutionize the funeral industry and with very innovative ways to use land and to have burials and grave sites, cemeteries, all of this. So we're going to be talking about how to rethink and reshape how we think of when our life is over. Where are we going to be? So I've got my wife Sue on here. The three of us are going to serve ongoing in this podcast series. This is a kickoff session, a reveal, and letting you know that this is all coming out to you on an ongoing fashion, a new project for us, a new part of this membership organization that is on this mantra of Let's Be Trees. You're going to be learning more about, all of this as we're branding it here. But Sue, you want to give a little bit more of an introduction of you and kind of how you're finding this participating in Let's Be Trees and, this new twist on, a way to go about it that we haven't heard before. And it's Sherry coming in here as a pioneer to make this available, an option for us for after our lives are over and we can have our eternal resting place. So you want to give more introduction of you and what you think of being a part of this?
Excellent. Thanks so much, Kurt. My name is Sue Roskoff, and we are thrilled to have Sherry joining us here. And I'm so looking forward to hearing more about Let's Be Trees. She's been working on this for quite some time now and has come a long way and has some great information for all of us. So, Sherry, come on in. And I'm so glad you are here. Thank you for joining us and for doing this podcast. Tell us more. Where are you at right now? What's all the latest and greatest? Where is Let's Be Trees today?
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you guys for believing in the project. Uh, we are currently crowdfunding for our first property in Macon, North Carolina. It's 300 acres, and we can have 300,000 members. And so we're looking for the first 50,000 lucky families to help us crowdfund for the purchase of the property. And we're looking to turn cemeteries from the lonely place on the hill to a cemetery society and make it a happening community of people that came together to revolutionize funerals. You know, our grandparents, they would go around town and they would ask everybody for $1 or 10, and they bought a piece of land and they built a church or a community building, and then they had a graveyard. And that was it. There was no $4,000 to be buried there. You helped buy it, you helped take care of it, maybe you watered the plants. You didn't have to pay any. We're going back to that. We're going back to the way our grandparents used to do it. For heaven's sakes, they had funerals in their home. They had, if they couldn't handle it, a funeral in their home, they had it at their Nana's house, or they had it at the community center or the church or at the cemetery. But the days of spending $10,000 for a funeral can be over. The days of being forced to cremate your loved ones because you didn't want to have to spend $10,000, they're over. If we come together, that's all we have to do. If we come together, 50,000 of us can buy a $3 million property, a phenomenal estate, and start the revolution.
Excellent.
All
So
right.
I was going to ask, where is this located? What's the location where you have this, and what all has to go into this? Because I know you gave us some snippets there of the details. So if you want to share just a little more on that.
Well, what we're looking for is 50,000 first founding families to buy a membership, crowdfunding membership to purchase a $3 million estate, which will turn into a society and a cemetery society, and we'll take care of each other.
Excellent. So at this point, so the property's already been located, is that right?
The property has been located. We are crowdfunding for it, and we're closed at 50,000 founding members, and then we'll regroup from there to see whether we'll have it open or by invitation only. So it's the possibilities are really endless. And the coolest part about this whole thing, and part of why I feel like it took me so long to pull together, is because I wanted to create something that we could do nationally, so that we weren't just working towards a project in North Carolina, but every state has beautiful mansions. Every state has it as a need. So I would talk to the right people and accountants and lawyers, and we can set up trust funds for each individual state. So while we want to crowdfund for Macon, and we have an account set up for Macon, we can do that all over the country. And we also are going to need, I'm not going to be able to do this by myself. We need ambassadors, we need corporate sponsors, we need founding families, we need members, we need accountants, we need gardeners, we need arborists, we need undertakers, we need everybody to pull together. But for sure, if we all pull together, $100 will solve your funeral problems. It works.
That's amazing. I mean, really, when you hear that, that's amazing. Kurt, go ahead.
So Sherry, I want to, back up the train a little bit, and I want to take you back to, before you were involved in this, before this thought came to be. Can you kind of take us back on the timeline to where you had no thought of this, to things were happening in your life that made it a little bit of a nudge for you to, because something threw you sideways to say, I have fun. Sue and I run an annual event, in the theme of Festivus. And with that Seinfeld sitcom culture, there was that episode, the strike episode, where Festivus was introduced, and George was going to get a doll from his father, Frank, and Frank's doing the shopping and everything, and just this big frenzy of just trying to get a doll for his son. And then the sitcom has Frank sitting there like, there's got to be a better way. So I'm thinking that there was something that led to that for you, Sherry. What was it? Take us back to how this percolated in the first place for you.
My sister's husband died, and she didn't have $12,000 to bury him. And she had to do a fundraiser, and we put together as much money as we could, and still didn't have enough money to bury him. So she reluctantly decided to cremate him. And I watched her go through that, and it was heartbreaking. It was absolutely the worst thing I ever heard of, until my father told me that in 1950, his dad died, and his mother, pregnant with their 12th child, had to give the funeral home Granddaddy's car to bury him. So now this woman is 12 children and walking. And I thought, my God, we can do better than this. And the system's broken, and people want me to not say that, but the system is very broken here. And people don't want me to be controversial, but this is a very controversial subject to me. This is personal at this point. So I just set out to make funerals free. And then the more I thought about it, the more it became abundantly clear that I couldn't get quite to free. But for $100, if enough of us come together, it's basically free. So you know where you're going to be buried. You're going to be buried if you're here. You're going to, you know where you're going to be buried. You know you're not getting embalmed. You know you're going to have to buy or make a coffin of some sort that's biodegradable, or shroud, or your birthday suit. But you know that your Uncle Buddy's going to drive you to the cemetery. You can make all these plans because it's going to be kind of cool now. Instead of making a $12,000 party to go in a hole, you're going to spend $100 and be picking out your favorite songs with glee, because now we've got a society that's going to be supporting us in this. And it's a bustling, hustling society. Who wouldn't want to be buried at a 300-acre lovely estate that all over the country? So then if we form, oh, this going off somewhere else. Let's go back to grandma. I'm doing this for my grandmother, and I'm doing this for my sister. And I didn't make this a corporation because I'm doing this for the country. This is a 501c7 that we really need to embrace, because if we don't, as a 501c7, there's going to be a lot of corporations that are going to take this wonderful gift and monetize it again.
Well, and a 501c7. Now, I believe you had said before that means it's a membership organization. That's part of what that means as far as coding goes, so people understand that.
Like a fraternity or sorority, we're going to have a society, and it's a 501c7 society. And thank God that with we're Americans, and our Constitution gives us the right to form societies. When we say we're a society, we're a society.
Excellent. Well, and I know you had mentioned a statistic earlier of what percent of the population don't have any plans in place. You want to speak to that a little?
I do, because I've got a lot to say on it. That 75% of us do not have a funeral plan of any sort. 75%. And I know why. Because it's too expensive, because it's too hard. I don't want to talk about it. I can't afford what I want. I don't know where to figure out where to get anything. I mean, the list goes on and on. The whole fact of the matter is if we made it a one and done quick, here's your will. We got state specific wills on the website right now. You can go click the link and you put in your state, and you can download your state specific will. And there's a bunch of downloads that you can do on the website, on the resource pages. So find your way to letsbetrees.org, and the resource pages so there's no reason for people to die with their stuff in probate. I'm going through it now with my uncle. He wouldn't do a will. And so I don't know, but I'm going to make him a lilac hydrangea, because that's what he wanted. Uncle Greg was funny, and he didn't want to be a regular tree with the rest of us. He said, I want to be a lilac hydrangea. I said, I got you.
Love that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and I know we will be coming back here and be making this an ongoing podcast, and we'll have more resources. We'll have more information. There's gonna be a lot more to come. This is just a kickoff. This is kind of setting the stage here of what exactly is Let's Be Trees and what to expect for future. So I'm wondering, is there anything else you want to be sure to include in this inaugural event here today?
You got anything, Kurt? I could go on forever, but now that I'm on the spot, I don't know what to say.
Well, this is really a pioneering adventure, and like this is a reveal. This is kind of putting the work of this membership group in a fishbowl, making it transparent out in public facing, and kind of creating a let's be trees mantra, kind of coming to the let's do it together, working together works, type of fashion. And so kind of what we're venturing after here, folks, is that if you're hearing this, we want to make this a buzz, all across the land. And so definitely, create some, little zeal and appeal for conversations with those, and say, hey, I've just watched and listened to something that I never expect. Because I know when I met you, Sherry, I was never expecting that this was going to be, where I'm sitting here today and this is what we're doing. But, it's one of these things where you have me at hello because I'm in these spaces where it's like people are falling in the cracks. There's marginalized populations. There's all these circumstances. There are people who are homeless. And, you and I had a lot of talks about where the future of this can go. So what you've done, Sherry, is you've structured, to me, phase one. To me, this is phase one to fill this membership, to do this $100 a person program. But you talked about that, you realize you couldn't get it to zero. And I think really the way I frame that is there's no starting point where we're taking care of people at $0. So really what's happening is we're creating stakeholders and pioneers and, first evers. And, there's going to be a lot of notoriety. There's a legacy in this, because I think when this does become the business conducted in all 50 United States of America, and we start having, 10,000 people involved in where do we go next? When you talk about a 501c7, Sue and I are members of Optimus International. So that's really what's going on here is Optimus, Alliance, Kiwanis, Rotary, all these notable groups out there where you can become a member and do the thing. So that's what's happening. You're learning about the next 501c7 membership guided program where these other 501c7s, set up foundations and so forth. I have on the screen, I'm with Spirit of the Game Foundation, so that's where we're going. This is an innovative space. And in business, they say find a need and fill it. So that's what we're doing. We're doing a membership organization that's in the business of, serving this need, all across the US. There's many conversations be had about in the last century, couple centuries of this nation's histories, we've kind of taken a lot of curveballs, taken a lot of diversion into many different directions. And I think, Sherry, you brought to us an inevitable topic, and like you said, it's a topic that people don't want, to discuss by and large. And so to be of service to families and citizens and members, it just takes coming out here like this, making it a public conversation, live streaming it, getting it out there to social medias, and making it something that every individual out there can spread it to folks they know.
I can see it. I can see it growing, and it grows because together we move mountains. And I wanted to make sure I let everybody know that I did not come up with this. I did not come up with this. I believe truly that this was divine, and together we will move mountains, and or it won't happen. So and I can't see it not happen. It's too perfect. It's an absolutely perfect cemetery society. For $100, you get a will. You get your last rites and wishes written out. You can go out. If we get legislation, now listen to this. If we get legislation, we can go out like Vikings. But we have to do some stuff in downtown. But we can do Viking burials, we can do Indian burials if we get legislation. Or you could be body surfed through your crowd, wearing a shroud. Or I can't imagine what these young guys would plan their funeral like. And then can you imagine when you're an old man, you're like, listen to what I had, listen to what I did, you know? And so now you're going to get body surfed through your crowd. Hopefully that can handle you, but you know what I mean? I think that we could actually put the fun back in funeral if that's humanly possible for your family. I dare you to put the fun back in funeral. And make the whole process something that we're not looking at with this dreaded shame, but with a wide eye and right in its face. And here's my $100. I'm done. You know, now all you got to do is plan a cool party. So together we'll move mountains.
Excellent. I love that. And really, there are very few things in life that are guaranteed, right? But one of them is death. We have to think about that at some point. And I know it's a hard topic, but like you're saying, putting the fun back into it, what a great way to go. What a great way to bring it all together. So, Sherry, this is amazing. With Let's Be Trees, I just want to make sure, any last thoughts before we go for this time with this first inaugural event? So we are so happy to have you here. And Sherry, I'm looking forward to the next time we get to come back together and talk more about Let's Be Trees. So again, this is Kurt and Sue Roskoff with Sherry Wallace and Let's Be Trees. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you both. You're